Arcturian greeting, welcome home. October 19, 2014. Beloved ones, we can come into the now of your awareness to speak about your third-dimensional, sequential time. Sequential time is constructed from the collective physical requirements of a third-dimensional reality, so that the members of that reality can create a timeline on which they can fulfill their divine plane, also known as their mission. Within this time-bound reality, the collective consciousness of that world has thoughts, emotions, and behaviors which impinge upon the 3D matrix to program and reprogram the ever-changing experience of time. Time is quite novel to us higher dimensionals, as we often call ourselves. When we take a form in the fourth dimensional hologram, we think of going into time like you may think of going into an amusement park. An amusement park has many exciting experiences, which are usually based on some form of fear. Will this upside-down cart drop me on the ground far below? Will I win the huge bear to impress my girlfriend, or will I make a fool of myself? When you are at an amusement park, you eat many foods that you know are of a very low frequency and are likely very bad for your body. However, you are having fun, so it is okay to indulge your lower urges. You can scream in the roller coaster and act like a child and no one will notice. Since we of the higher frequencies have not been on the 3D for many eras of what you would call time, we think that a bit of fear and self-indulgence will be just fine. We only think that because we have forgotten how addictive fear and self-indulgence can be. You see, we even forgot about how it feels to be at third-dimensional. Hence, we forgot how fear, separation, loneliness, hunger, work, and many other earthbound experiences impact on our state of consciousness. When we higher dimensionals so bravely volunteered to take on a physical earth vessel, we have usually forgotten the density and extremely fragility of the third dimension. We have also forgotten the sensation of illness, pain, fatigue, anxiety, and depression, as well. Unfortunately, by the time we remember how very difficult it is on the third dimension, we are already merged with our new life and duty bound to fulfill our very idealistic mission statement that we created while wearing our fifth dimensional and beyond, light body. The problem is that by the time many of us are old enough in human age to fulfill the mission we designed while living in the higher worlds, we have forgotten that there ever was a mission. By that time, we have likely even forgotten that we are higher dimensional beings who volunteered to merge our consciousness with the third dimensional who volunteered to accept our energy field. What started, literally, as a match created in heaven, soon began to feel to both parties as a bad idea or a big mistake. How can I possibly fulfill that mission? Asks the human. Meanwhile, the intergalactic and/or celestial counterpart says, how could I have forgotten it was so difficult on this frequency of reality? Eventually, the human often forgets the mission and the galactic forgets their true, multidimensional nature. Also, both of them forget they are actually different dimensional expressions of the same person. Are you beginning to understand our/your plight now? This process is much like making Italian dressing. If both of you don't continually shake the bottle, the oil and vinegar separate. Of course, no one is actually shaking our human vessel, but we realize that sometimes it does feel like that. Sometimes the human cannot remember anything about their true nature, and the galactic can't remember why they would volunteer for such an impossible assignment. Even though Earth is a hologram, it is a very convincing hologram that all the inhabitants think of as a real world. This is where time comes into the picture. The third-dimensional human, who is really a fifth-dimensional galactic being, and the fifth-dimensional galactic being, who thinks he/she is a third-dimensional human, get lost in each other. Then, they too often forget that they are both expressions of their shared multidimensional self. This leaves us, the members of the Galactic Command Center, in a very difficult position of, how do we wake these people up without breaking Gaia's laws of a free will planet? What we try to do is we find humans, somewhere, who are close to awakening to their multidimensional self and continuously overlight them. We go into their dreams, their meditations, and influence their creativity as much as possible. Please remember that these people are our dear friends and family member who volunteered for very difficult mission. We cannot abandon them, but we also cannot break the laws of free will. We tell you our story because we can see how difficult it is for you to try to be a higher consciousness being while living in a reality filled with fear and lies. We, also, ask you to think about this situation from our perspective. How would you feel if one of your children, best friends, and/or family members went on a journey and did not contact you to tell you they were safe? In fact, what if you knew that they were not safe, maybe their life was in danger, and there was nothing you could do to help them? Meanwhile, you knew there were very dark beings who were damaging your loved one's life, threatening their health by destroying their environment, putting poisonous medicine into their food and bodies, and there was nothing you could do because of an old law of free will. However, we have a great advantage that you on the third dimension do not experience. We live in the now and have no passage of time. Because of our intimate relationship with our friends and family on mission to 3D Earth, we can now remember how very difficult it is to live in a time-bound world. We see that many of you, our volunteers, have found a way to expand your consciousness beyond the frequency of the 3D drama and live in the relative peace of comfort of your fifth-dimensional perceptions. Yes, there are many fifth-dimensional perceptions on Gaia. In fact, there are more and more each day. You, our so beloved away team, are finally beginning to really make a change. You see, as soon as your multidimensional memory begins to return, you remember the joys of unity with us, your higher expressions of self. Then, you begin to remember that you volunteered to spread that unity consciousness throughout your third-dimensional world. Yes, thanks to the Zetas and their draconian friends, you have internet. Through your internet you can communicate with fellow volunteers all over the face of Gaia. Every time you communicate with another of your beloved crew members and family members, you find deep joy, unconditional love, and immense courage to unite with those who still slumber in illusion. We know that many of you remember the story of Sleeping Beauty in which the handsome prince had to fight the wicked witch and hack his way through the torn bushes to rescue his beloved, who had remained asleep until he awakened her with his loving kiss. That is exactly what we are doing. We are confronting the wicked witch of greed and power over others, hacking through the dark illusions that have trapped our loved ones and awakening them with the power of our love and the tenderness of our kiss. We speak with you today to let you all know that you will be awakened. Your kingdom of peace and love will be returned to you, and much, much more. You are deeply loved, and we will never give up on you. We all resonate to unity consciousness. Hence, you are us, and we are you. We will never give up on you. How could we, as we are you, resonating to a higher frequency of reality? We are all one being in the now. Hence, as soon as you awaken, we ask for your assistance. We ask that as soon as you awaken to your multidimensional self that you go out and awaken as many others as you can to their multidimensional self. Just one of you can awaken hundreds or thousands of others. In fact, you may not need to awaken them, as many are already fully awake to the fact that it is the now to change. They do not know what the now means, or what changes they need to make, but they are ready and willing to learn. You, our beloved friends, are our family. You do not need to tell the ones whom you awaken about themselves, as that is for them to discover. But, you can tell them about yourself. Tell them the truth, what they unconsciously hunger to hear, and, most of all, send them unconditional love. Unconditional love is a new concept for far too many humans. Therefore, be sure to also send them unconditional forgiveness and unconditional acceptance. All unconditional gifts resonate to the fifth dimension and beyond. Therefore, these emotional gifts resonate beyond the time and limitations of the third dimensional world. As the newly awakened ones begin to release the 3D concepts of time and limitation, our beloved volunteers to Earth will begin to awaken to the truth of their multidimensional self. Then, the first thing they will do is to awaken other volunteers of their away mission. Just as fear can, and definitely does, spread through the 3D hologram, unconditional love can also spread throughout your world. Most important, the fifth dimensional quality of unconditional love, unconditional forgiveness, and unconditional acceptance, will sink deep into the core of Gaia and float up into the atmosphere to heal the harm and attract the love. Oh, what a glorious sight we will see as this love and light brings our volunteers back to their true self and awakens to the here and now of the higher worlds. Within the now there is no time, and within the here we, the Arcturians as well as your higher dimensional self, will welcome you home. Blessing from we the Arcturians. Channeled by Suzanne Lee. SuzanneLeePhD.blogspot.com